Hello YouTube, second video of the day, December 20th, 2019. And I'm here to go over something that I have long been wanting to go over the longest. First, let me move my viewer over here. But anyways, I've been wanting to go over the universal basic income because y'all know I've had some reservations about it at first. I was one of the people where I didn't know how it was going to be calculated, and then I overpriced it at 3 trillion. He broke down more of the accurate numbers, so I guess he was conversing with some economists on the issue. He factored in some other stuff because I was trying to figure out that up until then he was going to put our economy in a perpetual negative, and this actually puts us, i don't think it I don't think it really puts us more in a positive per se. However, it shows a way that he can at least go by proposing, universal basic income. And the way that I seen it the last time, now since then, the website has updated, so we're gonna look at all the new stuff. I've had this for like what 2 months now, and I think I mentioned it in a video regarding Marion Williamson versus Andrew Yang's UBI. But now I'm about to go into full detail of how Andrew Yang plans on proposing universal basic income, how it would not drive us in, perpetual debt, and how it would stimulate the American economy. So let's go ahead and get into it. And I'm going to say this. After looking at it, he has pretty much changed the way that I view him, and I might be on board to say I'm part of the Yang gang after this. But hold on. The Roosevelt Institute found that adopting an annual $12,000 basic income from every adult U.S. citizen over the age of 18 will permanently grow the economy, and it will increase the labor force by 4.5 to 4.7 million people. And then he calculates the U.S. adult population incarcerated is ineligible, although that number is going to go down amongst, freeing people who are in there for excessive long periods of time, because this number has to go down by at least a half, because they said a ridiculous amount of people are in prison just waiting trial. Like, I think they said to the tune uh, 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 of half the people in jail right now is literally waiting trial, and they have not even been sentenced. So that number might go down upon some of them people being found innocent. The ones who will get, they sentence reduced and expunged for marijuana, as long as they wasn't trafficking, the number gets reduced off of that. People who are in there for crack cocaine, and the crack cocaine, the disparities for black people as opposed to white people who just taking opiates, those people are going to have to be let out of there as well. So this number is going to go down as whoever on the Democratic side gets elected, and it's going to add to that, but not by much. Then you got U.S. non-citizens ineligible, which I guess will be, the immigrants who are classified as illegal, but that is sort of skewed at this moment because it's like they're trying their best to make, people, legal without going through the proper channels. Like, I just seen a video from ABL talking about they just gave illegal immigrants darn on driver's licenses, whatever. And it's like, well, damn, you going out your way to make sure they get driver's licenses. But in black communities, y'all closing down darn on, driver license offices. You're pushing the driver's licenses back, making it hard for people to vote. You're closing them at certain times of the day during election cycles. See, that's what, the Republicans on the coon side, such as ABL, won't mention, though. About how, certain shit like that happen to black people. But you're going and breaking your backs trying to get darn on illegal immigrants to get darn on licenses, though. So it's like that number might cause them to be put in here to a certain extent, and that's a high number. Ooh, God. Hopefully not that many will be eligible. Eligible population currently, though, is 232 million. Freedom dividend per capita 12,000. Annual cost is $2.8 trillion. So I wasn't that far off. I said that it would cost around $3 trillion a year. So I overestimated by 200 billion. So next we're going to go into the revenue. It goes into explaining that a VAT, value added tax, is currently used by 160 out of 193 countries, including every developed nation except the US, because it is more efficient way of generating revenue with no loopholes. Big companies and rich people are excellent at moving things around to avoid taxes and funnel hundreds of billions in earnings overseas. A value-added tax makes it impossible for them to benefit from the American people and infrastructure without paying their fair share. Yang 2020. So his value-added tax will add nearly $1 trillion per year at $987 billion and 64 million. Okay, come on, right down to the last decimal, darn on Yang Gang. And then he breaks it down further, talking about the FD boosted GDP will be consumer staples, food, and personal exempt. Value added taxes of GDP for 8%. Okay, now it's getting into, I need some explanation on this. European countries on average collect 9.7% GDP in value taxes. Yang has quoted as saying proposed value added tax rate will be half that of European levels. Assume this also means our value added recipients as a percentage of GDP is half of the European countries' 9.7%, which means 4.8%. See value added tax GDP sheets for further analysis. Okay, consumer staples and food, and then we go to get an explanation on that. 70% of GDP is consumer spending, and 7% on foods at home. Personal care, it breaks that down. The product with GDP is estimated consumer dollars spent on value-added tax-exempt purchases. And then we go into the deficit, which is currently at 21.64 trillion. Now, tax revenues from push-up incomes is going to be 206 billion.98 million a year. And it breaks it down into these categories. Then he goes into new revenue from cap removal on Social Security payroll tax. That's 120 billion a year. New carbon tax and dividend, 176.04 billion a year. 176 billion and 4 million. Once again, all the way down to the last decimal. Okay, now I see what they added. Because all this, before then, it just gave these, and it didn't really break it down to this point. So now I'm seeing that's what they added since the last time I seen this. I really wish I would have did the video 2 months ago, and then y'all would have had a video reference of what I'm talking about. How it looked like before, and then what it looked like now. But then you got new financial transactional tax, which is 50 billion per year. And then it gives a, oh, okay. Oh. Okay, that's something new as well. We didn't have that last, 2 months ago. So it breaks down everything for the people who want to read, honey. We don't got that much time to read all this, but okay, he got his paperwork and stuff together. So you got a whole 54 pages of that alone. And then you got capital gain carried interest tax, which is 48 billion 90 million. And then it breaks it down in two forms, which is revenue from closing favorable tax treatment on carried interest, and revenue from mitigating favorable tax treatments on capital plus gains. Once again, totals 48 billion 90 million. Y'all know it's the holiday season, y'all. Let me darn on sing for the holidays. I ain't trying to compete with Mariah. She done got her 19th number one after all these years. I ain't trying to compete with the darn gone lambs, honey. Meh. Honey, lambs don't come for me. Is that everything for the revenue? So next is we're going to go on to growth. So the GDP growth from consumer spending increases by 1.54 trillion, and then it breaks it down into these categories right here. GDP growth from smaller population. I love how he just decided to create a whole separate website just to break down UBI alone, honey. I can't blame him because it is very intricate, honey. Like we just seen that one section had 54 pages. Then we go into the savings, and then this talks about the welfare because some people is worried about, well, do you have to pick and choose between the welfare versus the UBI? So this explains that. Americans on welfare programs affected by, the freedom dividend, median maximum welfare amount, welfare spending affected by freedom dividend is 21.6%, amount typically realized 75%, and it goes all the way in explaining that further. Savings for bureaucracy downsizing, savings from reduced healthcare spending, savings from homelessness decrease, savings from property crime reduction, and a lot of crime within the black community is due to poverty-stricken related issues. I think the FBI reported that's the only thing that black people lead in is actually petty theft. Everything else is, murder, accessory to murder, kidnapping, hostage has all been led by white people. But petty crime and theft, I think we lead in that, but it's only because of the economic oppression that black people have to face, and we're put in a place of, our names disqualify us from, certain loans, even if we, have the credit score compared to our white counterparts, the double standards that we face in general, the fact that our neighborhoods are not valued the same unless there's a certain amount of white people in our neighborhoods. There's a lot of slick stuff that goes into devaluing our darn worth to the point where they're trying to predict our net worth to be zero by 2053 if we do not get our act together. And that's another thing that will, offset that with the freedom dividend. But the crime reduction I can definitely concur, it will go down amongst the black community if there is a guaranteed income of people having $1,000 per month. Federal Reserve, 5 to 10% high school dropout reduction, $504 million a year. And back to welfare. If anybody had to choose between food stamps and WIC versus $1,000 a month, nearly most of us would choose the freedom dividend, because in the state of North Carolina alone, for a single person who falls under the ABOD, which is 18 to 49 years old that don't have no dependents, you will only qualify for $200. And $200 is not going to get us nowhere. It's like, yeah, that might, keep some food in my stomach, but that's not helping me getting a bus. I remember back in the day where social service would help you, get a bus pass so you could go out job searching and you wouldn't have to keep trying to get money to try to travel, whatever. They would also have job assistant programs. They would team up with the employment office, nicknamed the unemployment office, because there's more people going there to file for unemployment as opposed to, trying to get employment because of the way that it's set up, unfortunately. But back in the day, they used to have programs teamed up with the Employment Security Commission, where you would help people with getting jobs, such as the Job Corps, or trying to get them at certain stores that allowed for felonies. If you had a felony on your record, they would help you get into like the plants and Walmart and stuff like that. But now they don't have none of that. And then you got a president who's trying to cut that. So not only is you making it hard for people who are disabled and can't do nothing, that relies on welfare, but for the people who are part of the working poor, who are the most people who are currently on welfare, you're trying to cut the incentives that will make it where they can easily to try to get a job. You're trying to cut the assistant programs and stuff like that, which is deplorable in my opinion. But moving on, we ain't gonna go on to darn Agent Orange today, honey. So last but not least is the cost. Ooh, now that truck was loud as heck. Y'all might have picked that up on my camera. I do apologize for that, y'all. My walls are thin. Okay, is you gone, honey? Truck's still cutting up out there. So the annual cost is $2.8 trillion. Total additional growth $558.39 billion. Total additional revenue $1.59 trillion. Total additional savings. So net cost is, we're still at a loss of $320 billion a year, which I would imagine that as the years continue on and more people become stable, that number will decrease over time as well. So 320 billion is a far better of a net loss compared to all the gains that we would get compared to $3 trillion a year. So what do I think about this? Ultimately, it has changed my perspective on it. I am now, for the most part, here for it. And this will make me really consider, having Andrew Yang for president of the United States. This would definitely help somebody out in my predicament, medical bills. It definitely helped me out with insurance, just because it looked like we might not get the Medicare for all, honey. And then they said Andrew Yang came out with a lousy darn health care plan. So I guess we will still have to be paying for our darn insurance out of pocket for now. And this will help out with paying for those darn high costs. So if I can darn have some money to pay for that and still have some extra money on the side, that's fine by me. So I wish, and this is why I said it would pay for them to both team up, but unfortunately they don't look like they want to team up. I don't know why. I would want a darn Andrew Yang and a Marianne Williamson ticket, because each one has what the other lacks. It's like Marianne Williamson got the reparations, and she got a phenomenal health care plan that goes into dealing with preventative measures and post care, not just focusing on the sickness but actually treating the sickness. And she would strike me as a candidate that would push for cures for certain diseases. That is something that no other candidate is mentioning. She also talks about the Department of Youth. She is also the strongest candidate on foreign affairs, next to Tulsi Gabbard on that. But the fact that she even mentions about Africa, I would even give her a little nudge above Tulsi on the foreign issues. And then you got Andrew Yang, who's the mathematician over here, who has the freedom dividend that will benefit everybody, to the tune of raising people out of poverty. What they said? Let me go back to growth. I think they said about 30%. Where was that stat on, reduction of poverty? I know I seen it somewhere. But I want to say it said reduce, poverty by 30%, which is phenomenal. So each one of them got what the other one needs. And this is why I'm so sad that they don't team up. I mean, this together, that would be a dream ticket right there. Marion Williamson and Andrew Yang. Everybody else keeps saying darn on Tulsi Gabbard. You know, Yang Tulsi. That's what I'm seeing under my comments. And it's like, yeah, I guess right now I can see a possible Tulsi. Yeah, see, y'all want, see, that's that Asian alliance right there. Y'all want the two Asians to go on the ticket together. I ain't faulting my Asian brothers and sisters. However, it's like, can we get a white sister all up in here that's speaking for the black folks? Come on now. Hell, the shame is we have, what, 3 black people that was in the race, and neither one of them spoke for black folks. Can we get one sister that's really speaking for the sister? Honey, because darn gone wannabe sister wasn't doing it. Kamala ain't doing it. Corey can't get his ass back in the darn gone debate stage. Deval Patrick is basically darn gone Barack Obama 2.0, which is a darn gone no-no. Okay, so it's like, and then Joe Biden trying to seem favorable because he knows so many of the old school black, your old school ass ain't been doing nothing all this time. What makes us think that you're going to automatically darn gonna do something now that you on death's door? Girl, bye. But I'm glad to see that you was a little bit more energized during the darn on debates. You finally looked alive. You might, somebody, jokes been going around that he must have darn gone finally darn gone succumb and down, got him some of that good old sativa, honey, because he was wide awake, honey, he was wide awake. He wasn't stuttering, well, except when he was mocking the boy at the end, which was deplorable. But I digress. But for the most part, he was darn on straight on with his words. He wasn't, forgetful or anything. Something tells me he done took darn on Corey's advice from the last debate, honey. And darn on got him some darn on OG Bobby Johnson, some Girl Scout cookies, or some kush, baby. But even with that, honey, Joe Biden don't entertain me. He is darn on stale as he looks, honey. We need some people that are more youthful and vibrant, and not just age-wise. I ain't being ageism, honey, because, Marion Williamson is up there as well, but her policies are more refreshing. Her policies are and I hate to say that policies that should be natural is revolutionary, but considering what we are currently in, it is revolutionary considering that our economy is, basically run on corruption. So what best than to have two of the most, out of the box candidates that are not former politicians, that have truly phenomenal policies for the people, combine the best of both worlds. And you can still hire some people underneath y'all, because I know y'all want to have some of the senatorial, experience and all of that underneath y'all belt. So I don't mind if you put, Tulsi Gabbard in a cabinet position and, Elizabeth Warren in the cabinet. Now, y'all can do without that darn on Bernie, honey, in my personal opinion. But I know if Marion gets the ticket, she'll probably have Bernie as the damn VP. But if it was a Yang and darn on Marion, honey, put darn on Elizabeth in the darn on cabinet somewhere. Make her something like Secretary of State. And darn on Tulsi Gabbard, you could put her somewhere. And, the Foreign Affairs category. Or the Department of Interior. Who else will be favorable in there? Cory Booker, he might be able to be put in there somewhere. Kamala, girl, sit down, honey. We might look at you in another darn on 8 years, honey. You still youthful, honey. Them Asian genes are strong, honey. Y'all just like black people. Y'all don't really darn gonna show true age like that. So you still young and vibrant, honey. We'll see about you in 8 years as the first Indian president, honey. Kitsch. But as of today, it's a no-go. Amy Klobuchar, I can see her possibly in the cabinet position. And that's about it thus far. That's about it. Tom Steyer, you can go back to just funding the darn on campaigns. We don't need you in the campaigns, honey. You speak good, but you're more so somebody who needs to be more the marketer for getting people in that can actually propose the policies. Because we don't need a one-trick pony. Because I ain't heard anything outside of darn on the climate change. Climate change is very important, but once we get climate change under control, what else is you good for, Donald? Honey, darn on, you competing up against somebody who has over 142 policies. Marion Williamson has over about 40 some policies on her platform, and the only thing we hear about you is climate change, which once again is important, but that's not the only thing that determines a president, boo-boo. So you need to go back to being behind the curtain and darn on helping to fund the people such as Andrew Yang and the Marion Williamsons to get into office, not you trying to compete to get into the office, honey. So yeah, now I ain't here for any of the billionaires. Bloomberg nor Steyer. Steyer is a lot more, tolerable, but still, I wouldn't want him necessarily as a president of the United States, honey. So, what are y'all thoughts on this? Like I said, he definitely has my interest in regards to this. And then I think he mentioned about, and marginalized communities, that the universal basic income would be $2,000 a month. So $1,000 a month for everybody, but $2,000 in marginalized communities, which once again that will affect somebody like me in an area where the median annual income is only $12,000 a year. So adding a guarantee to $12,000 that help incentivize me, because honey, like I said, if it wouldn't pay for me to have $1,000, I would have been out my predicament. Honey, I could darn gone got me a independent spa set up if I had just $1,000. $1,000 a month, I could easily got me a down payment on a car. And that would have been me a job right there, because I done showed y'all. Most jobs are out of town. And if you want to do something within town, you got rideshare, you got Uber, you got, DoorDash, Lyft. But you can't do that without a car. And then if you try to rent one, you got to go through all those hoops and channels of, getting a secure credit card and putting down a deposit and paying the rental fee and trying to get so many rides per week just to break a borderline even. Then you have to factor in the gas mile versus if you had your own car. It's like, why pay $400 a week for a rental versus you could have paid that a month on a car that you own. Now, granted that the goal is not to run down your own car, so ride sharing will be a temporary position until you fund your own stuff better. That's what I would have done. Gave me $1,000 a month. I would have did some ride sharing to double my money up, and not only help pay off my car quicker, but get me back in a treatment room, and then be doing my own aesthetic business and do my promotional videos. And I could have seen myself being a phenomenal doggone esthetician. If I just had those types of funds allotted to me, honey, I would be a very formidable esthetician that everybody would have been known. And I'm not tooting my horn, but not too many people can do what I do, especially when it comes to color correcting the skin, when it comes to treating hyperpigmentation, when it comes to waxing plus size clients, when it comes to dealing with discoloration on black skin, especially in the taboo areas that we don't like to talk about, such as the inner thighs and other places. That is my area of specialties, but unfortunately there aren't any grants for beauticians like that. So $1,000 a month would really help out a girl like me who's in the beauty industry, which is highly annoying. We talk about farm bills, we talk about business grants for people open up brick and mortar stores, but you don't talk about the entrepreneur like grants. And that's another thing I like about Andrew Yang, because he also focuses on entrepreneurs such as myself. So once again, I would love to see him and Marion Williamson team up. That would be the ultimate dream ticket right there, in my humble opinion. You got the reparations over here with the phenomenal health care, the Department of Youth, Foreign Affairs, mixed in with the universal basic income, and several other things that we mentioned that Andrew Yang is for as well. And we got a whole video series on him in regards to that. So those are my thoughts on that. I really love the thought of universal basic income. It would definitely help somebody like me out, change my whole life if I had access. And this is just at $1,000 a month. If he put it at $2,000 a month, honey, that would really get the ball rolling, honey. But either one would be far better. And like I said, even though he has a lousy darn alleged healthcare plan, because I have not vetted to see if it is lousy, but they're saying that it pales in comparison to Bernie, and that's sad because Bernie's though it does not even match up to Marion Williamson, which is phenomenal. So if they're saying that it doesn't even match up to Bernie, I guess it would be lousy, which is why once again, Marion Williamson and Andrew Yang is the ticket to go. Y'all tell me how y'all think about that though. So leave it down in the comments box down below. Feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I'll see y'all soon with more videos. Shout out to the Yang Gang and Mary. We're going to have to come up with a name for Marion Williamson Gang. What y'all call the Marion Williamsons, honey? But once again, shout out to the Yang Gang.